This is Castle here, and we're going to talk about our next project that we're working on with paper, and that is a low relief sculpture. And that's where the sculpture only slightly sticks out or up from the surface it's built on. When we're talking about that, we're talking like 2 inches. That's as high as I want you to go. But as always, we're going to start with some thumbnails. I want you to do 3 thumbnails, and I want you to draw some kind of a landscape, but we're not going to use any color. We're only going to use black paper for our background and white paper to make the objects that we're building up off of the white paper with. Like a green landscape with trees and flowers and stuff like that, or deserty. It could even be beach, or a cityscape, kind of like what I have here. So I'm going to have you think up 3 different things like we did before, and have 2 neighbors comment on it like we did before. And let's see, I think I am going to pick my deserty cactus one. So if I were doing this assignment, I would circle it and take a picture of it for my digital portfolio. So I'm going to kind of set that aside over here, but we want to be able to still see it so we can figure out what's going on. Once you do that, you're going to need your background paper, which we said is going to be black, and some paper that I'm going to build my sculpture. Once again, I'm going to center my paper because I want to trace a box. My black paper is 2 inches bigger going up and down and side to side than my white paper. So I want to lay my ruler on there and make sure that I've got 2 inches, 1 inch on, I've got 1 inch on this side and 1 inch on this side. So I'm going to make a mark with my pencil on both sides like we did before. This is going to be a little trickier, but since my paper is longer than my ruler, if I check on this side and make sure that there's 1 inch on this side, there's probably going to be 1 inch on this side, just like that. Okay, so I've got it positioned in the right place, so I'm going to trace around it. Most of your sculpture, I want you to stay inside this box, okay? A little bit of it can stick out, and we'll talk about that. And that's kind of why I have my moon, because it's going to be nighttime, my moon sticking up a little bit past the edge of my box. So now to make this a relief sculpture, I want you to have at least 3 layers. So the farthest away things, which would be my moon and stars and maybe my farthest away mountains, are going to be glued directly to the black paper once I draw them and cut them out. Then my second layer sticking up, and I'll show you how to do that, would be the next range of mountains. And then I might have some, like my rolling hills would be another layer sticking up a little bit. And then my last layer would probably be my cactuses. And we're going to talk about how to make all of that stick up. Okay, and this kind of paper is called cardstock. It's thicker than our drawing paper that we use, or construction paper that we were using for our Noton. So to get started, I'm going to draw some circles. I want them to be, it doesn't matter where they are on this paper, because I'm going to cut them out and I'm going to glue them to this paper. So I'm going to make the best use of this paper as I can, and I'm going to draw some stars, and I'm not going to try to cut out a 5-pointed star like that. That's too much trouble. And when we look at stars in the sky at night anyway, they look like little round points. They don't really look like that. Oh, and I need my moon. And it does not matter if the moon is perfectly round. Oops, I went off the edge. I don't want to go off the edge. And if the pencil doesn't erase completely, that's okay. This time we can flip it over and have the pencil mark be hidden. Okay. Then I need my farthest away mountains. Now this part, I'm going to lay my paper on here so that I know I know how high up my mountains are going to be. This part sort of matters. So I'm going to get realistic looking mountains instead of perfectly triangular ones like this. Mountains don't really look like that. They're irregular, they're natural, they're organic. So how I do that is I kind of shake my hand as I move across the paper. And then I get something that looks much more natural. That's a symbol that young children use. We're kind of over that. We're not little tiny kids anymore. Okay, so I'm going to leave for a minute and cut these things out using good cutting skills. Most of you had good cutting skills for your notan. If you got below a 70 on cutting, then you need to kind of up your game a little bit and be more careful this time. So I'm going to go away and I'll come back when my pieces are cut out. All right, so I'm back and I've got my shapes cut out. So now I need to glue them down. And I'm going to start with my mountains, so I know I get those in the right spot, so then I know I can get my stars and my moon in the right spot. So when you're gluing, we're going to use white glue this time instead of glue stick. Okay, I'm putting a very thin line sort of close to the edge all the way around, and then maybe a little bit kind of randomly in the middle. You do not need lots of glue. This is one instance where less definitely is more. So then I'm going to take my finger and I'm going to spread it around a little bit. And the more glue you use, the longer it will take to dry. And this is a situation where we definitely want our things to glue to dry quickly. So I'm going to position the bottom edge of my paper even with the line at the bottom that we traced around, and I'm going to smooth the rest down. Okay. All right, now I'm going to put my moon, and my moon is kind of over here, not exactly in the center. Avoid putting things exactly in the center because that's poor composition. And so, okay, I don't want my pencil lines to show, so this is the side that I drew on. Like I said, we could flip things over this time to avoid lines showing. Tiny amount of glue near the edge, and I'm going to smear it around with my finger. And I'm going to have my moon can go a little bit outside of the box. All right, so my stars are left. I'm going to put teeny tiny itsy bitsy dots of glue. And then I'm going to take some of my stars and I'm going to place them on top of my dots of glue. Okay, we're going to speed things up and talk about a few terms. First one is craftsmanship, and that's the quality of design and work shown in something made by hand. Craftsmanship is going to be really important when it comes to your cutting and how you're using the glue. So be careful with that. And the second one is shape. And shape is flat enclosed areas within an artwork created through lines, textures, colors, or other shapes. And it is an element of art, which is the things that go together that we use to make art. The last one is space. And space is the distances or areas around, between, and within a piece. And space is also an element of art, which we're going to use when we make the depth in our piece. So, so the next thing is going to be to make the next layer going up, and that's what I'm pointing about, and I'm going to decide how or where my next range of mountains is going to overlap. So we'll talk about that soon.